Hi everyone and welcome back to another card making video. Today I'm going to share a couple of 6x6 cards. These are going to be nice and big, and I will actually be using a pattern paper that I used on the previous video to create my album cover. So I'm using the leftovers from that. I'm starting with a 12x12 page, which is completely white, nice thick cardstock, and I'm just cutting it once at half at 6 inches. And then I'm going to score it at 6 inches again. This way I will end up with two cards that's 6x6 so that I can use them later on as my card bases. So here are the leftovers from the 12x12 paper pad that I cut out for the previous project. I did use only one of those panels for that cover, and then I do have 3 of them to turn into cards. I will be sharing 2 cards today using those 2 of those panels, and I promise I will make a 3rd one so nothing goes to waste. So here is the project that I'm talking about, and it is already up on my YouTube channel in case you want to check it out. Now usually on my cards I like to have a little border, that's why I will cut this panel to be slightly smaller than the 6x6 card base. So I'm cutting out half an inch from the 2 sides, which is going to give me a panel that is 5.5 by 5.5. And I will do that for both my panels. So here are my 2 card bases, and I'm going to lay on top the 2 background panels that I have. And then let's see how we can decorate them and turn them into cards. The easiest way to go with my collection is to just use the ephemeras. So I'm bringing them here, and I will be using the big focal points because they really work for these big sized cards. For the one I'm going with the typewriter and that adorable bird, and for the other one I will use this stack of books, and let's use the adorable cat on top. And I like how both of my cards do have a breath of life by using animals on top. Now of course we need to make these compositions more interesting, so let's embellish them by using leaves and flowers of course. In the same pack of ephemera you will find many of them, and you can definitely use the pattern paper, and you can fuzzy cut from there even more images that you can use here. So let's put those cards together one by one. I'm starting with the panel, and with my scissors I'm just distressing the edges. I will not ink them up, I will not add any brown dye ink because I don't want to turn them into looking vintage, but it is definitely an option if you want. I will just fray the edges like so, they are going to give me a more interesting edge, and that's it. I will just stick it on top of my card. Then all my ephemeras are actually stickers, so you can easily peel off the backing and stick them on your project. However, since I love dimension and I want to add that, I'm using foam tape at the back of my typewriter, and I will stick it by foam tape on top of my panel. I just want to make sure that as I place the typewriter down, I leave a little bit of the typewriter hanging out of the main background. I just like little details like that. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, you can definitely use leaves and flowers, either that you fuzzy cut from the paper pad or from the ephemera pack. However, I'm going to show you another option by using the Washi pad. So this is again from the same Secret Diary collection, and you will find many designs that you can fuzzy cut either with your scissors or just use a craft knife. I will be using a ceramic knife, and just separate some of those images to peel them off. How to use a ceramic pen, because I get a lot of questions about that. You need to find the correct angle for your blade. Just slide the blade in an empty space until you see that it cuts out. If it doesn't and it grabs, just turn the blade until you know it works. Just like I'm showing you here. Once you find the correct angle, keep the pen like so, don't rotate it at all in your hands. You see I'm just cutting the outline. And notice that I rotate the paper while holding the pen, making sure that the tip is always on the same angle. Now, the beauty of this washi pad is that it gives you extra designs that are not available as an ephemera pack or in the paper pad, and they are semi-transparent. So that means that once you stick it down on your pattern paper, it's going to blend it beautifully with the background. You don't have to cut it out perfectly on the outside. As you can see, I'm just roughly doing the border, because this is going to blend in beautifully. It's not going to show at all, so it's actually easier than fuzzy cutting. I haven't sped up the video at all so that you can see exactly how that works, because I get a lot of questions about the washi pad. And again, what I love about it is that once I place the design down and I rub it with my fingers, you will see that it blends beautifully with the background and you cannot really tell where that outline is. I am going to use my scissors to cut off the excess. And don't throw away the excess, you can definitely use it in another side. I'm going to place it back on the washi pad temporarily until I see the whole composition and decide where it looks more balanced to stick it down. I will continue to separate some more images, and again, if you don't want to use a ceramic pen, just go ahead and use your scissors. I just like doing it with a ceramic pen because I can peel off the images and I can keep the whole page intact without turning it into little bits and pieces that I don't know how to store later on. Also keep in mind that washi tape is repositionable, so if you don't like the placement, you can easily peel it off and place it on another area. If you want to make sure that it's going to stay put, you can always use some glue underneath or some rice paper glue to cover it up. I find that if you just use your bone folder over it, it helps to blend nicely with the background and it doesn't peel off after that. So again, here I have some excess. I'm going to use my scissors to cut it off, and I will not throw it away. I'm just frugal with my designs. I am going to stick it back into the paper so I can use it later on. Every little piece is going to eventually find its way in one of my projects, and also keep in mind that you can layer them one on top of the other, just like I did here. Again, this step that I'm doing here, burnisting with my bone folder, is completely optional, but I find that if I do it, the outline completely disappears. And it's time to put the bird in place. For that, I used a foam square at the back of the body so that it is slightly raised, and for the feet, I'm just going to peel off the backing so that I can stick them down. So at this stage my card has two layers of dimension, one with a typewriter and on top of that the bird. I'm absolutely happy with how that looks, so I'm going to stick it on top of my card base. And for this step you can definitely use an extra layer of foam tape if you want to make it bulkier, or just use glue and stick it directly on top of your card base. What's left to do is to add a sentiment. There is this page in the paper pad that you can get as a single as well, where you can cut out many greetings as well as many sayings that would fit pretty much any occasion. I'm gonna use a piece of foam tape at the back of my sentiment and stick it down. And also keep in mind that there are sticker chipboards of sentiments available in the same look and feel that you can use instead of fuzzy cutting all those labels. Now, if you want to add even more embellishments, you can definitely fuzzy cut some of the flowers. You can either go with the 12 by 12 page or the 8 by 8 one. It just gives you different sizes depending on your project. So I have fuzzy cut 3 of those flowers and I'm just going to tuck them here and there. For all these flowers I used a tiny little foam square at the back to give them more dimension, and I also curved up the petals so that they look more dimensional, but you can definitely go ahead and stick them down with glue. As a finishing touch, I'm going to add some iridescent dots. For that I'm using my contour liner, and I'm going to just spread those dots here and there. They always add a very whimsical look. And I'm going to call this card done. I'm absolutely in love with it. I love that adorable little birdie on top of the typewriter. And I'm going to insert some close-up photos at the end of this video. So let's move on and make the second card. And we have already gathered the supplies in the beginning of this video, so I do have my panel ready. And again, I'm using the same technique, just fraying the edges all around. And once you make one card and you know the style that you are going for, then it is simple to create a second one for a set. So here again, I'm using foam tape at the back to add dimension instead of peeling off the backing. On top of that, I'm going to add my cut. Again, I will use foam tape at the back for her so that it is raised and leveled with the stack of books. And now again, for adding some extra interest on our background, let's bring in that washi paper pad again. I will peel off one of the tickets from this one and I'll just stick it down there. Again, just rub it with your finger or with a bone folder to make it blend in nicely with the background. I peeled off a branch with leaves again, and I'm going to stick it on top of the other washi paper image, just layering them one on top of the other. Again, varnishing the edges with my bone folder to make it blend in nicely. And I will finish off that little cluster there by adding a sentiment. Again, I did fuzzy cut that from the page where you get all the sayings. I am adding a little bit of foam tape at the back, and I need to double up on one side so that I can get it leveled with the rest of the elements. So I'm just auditioning, deciding where this sentiment is going to fall, and then on the other side, or one side, I'll just add a tiny little foam, a piece on top of what is already there. And for this card I went with Dare to Be Different. Again, just like I did with the previous card, I'm going to tag a couple of flowers here and there. And let's add a little detail, which is completely optional, but I thought it would make this card look even more whimsical by giving my cat those wings. You can find wings either by fuzzy cutting them from the paper pad or in the ephemera pack. And I think having a cat with wings goes perfectly with the saying on my card. Now, I definitely had too much fun when I was making these cards and I didn't know when to stop. So here, although the card is pretty much finished, I'm just keep on adding little elements here and there. I'm just building up that cluster by tucking behind a little piece of a ticket. And of course, I need to finish it off with my iridescent contour liner, just like I did for the previous card by adding some dots here and there. So these two cards could definitely be part of a set. Here are both of them together. I will insert photos at the end of this video where you can see the details better. Links to everything I used can be found down below. I hope that you had fun today, that you got inspired. Don't forget to leave me a comment and like the video. Thank you all for watching.